On May 6, 2019, YouTuber Connor Kelly set out to explore the abandoned McCoy gold mine located deep in the Nevada desert. What began as a light-hearted family adventure quickly took a dark turn. The footage he uploaded shocked viewers and has since become one of the most unnerving cave exploration videos online. As Connor and his family ventured deeper into the mine, the atmosphere grew increasingly silent and tense. The dry crunch of gravel underfoot echoed ominously in the dark corridors. The deeper they went, the colder and more lifeless everything became. Then Connor noticed something strange ahead, a glint of something reflective. As the group approached, they found a single shoe lying in the dirt. That alone was odd. But the further they looked, the more shoes they found. Not just one or two, but dozens, strewn across the cave floor in a strange, disorderly pile.
We're human.
Okay, wait, don't move, Wyatt.
The shoes were an unsettling mix. Some appeared relatively new, while others were much older, decaying and covered in dust. It looked almost deliberate, as if someone had placed them there. The family didn't say much on camera, but their tension was obvious. Then they discovered something worse: scattered bones. These weren't fossilized or partially decomposed remains. The bones were starkly white and clean, too clean to have been lying in a cave for years. They looked recent, yet oddly preserved. Connor's footage doesn't capture them closely for long. They quickly decide to turn back. Viewers later pointed out that the way the bones were situated didn't appear natural. Some speculated that this cave could have been a site for something more sinister. One theory is that a serial killer might have used the mine as a dumping ground, citing the connection between shoes found and missing persons cases, especially involving children. Others suggested a less sinister explanation. Maybe runoff from storms brought discarded items into the mine. But the placement of the shoes and bones still doesn't quite make sense. Connor never released a follow-up or returned to the mine. To this day, the footage remains a chilling mystery. There was no police investigation, no official explanation, only unanswered questions. In another unsettling case, the YouTube duo known as the Action-Adventure Twins, James and Edward, documented a near-catastrophic cave expedition in Petty John's Cave, Georgia, in January 2022. Known for their deep dives into tight underground systems, the brothers had explored the cave before and believed they knew it well, but this time would be different. The video begins as most of their explorations do. Excitement, gear checks, crawling through narrow spaces. But as they move deeper, the environment changes. Petty John's is known for its tight passageways and sudden drops. One particularly difficult section, referred to by cavers as nervous breakdown, lives up to its name. It's a claustrophobic tunnel with little light, sharp turns, and almost no space to turn around. While crawling through a narrow vertical drop, the brothers got separated. Edward pushed forward into a new section, while James lagged behind. When Edward stopped to call for his brother, he got no response. What followed was nearly 30 minutes of increasingly desperate footage as Edward attempted to backtrack, calling out for James again and again. The fear was evident in his voice. Every tunnel looked identical. Every path he took led him deeper or in circles. The tension builds as the camera shakes with his breathing. Finally, Edward finds a small strip of tape he remembered seeing earlier in their descent.
The tape, yeah. Okay, this tape looks familiar.
Using it as a marker, he retraced his steps and called again. This time, a voice responded. James had become disoriented and taken a wrong turn but was otherwise unharmed. The relief was immediate, but the experience clearly shook them. The brothers ended the video with a somber message about respecting nature and the real dangers of cave exploration. This wasn't entertainment. It was survival. Back in 2014, another terrifying real event unfolded beneath the surface of Lost John's Cave in Lancashire, England. Known for its water-filled passages and narrow stone corridors, this cave had long been a favorite of experienced spelunkers. On one particular trip, Bob Johnson, a seasoned explorer, joined a team attempting to traverse one of the cave's more difficult sections known as the Tube. This passage was a tight, partially submerged tunnel barely large enough to crawl through. The first few cavers made it through without issue, but when Bob attempted to crawl through, he got stuck. Wedged from the waist down, he couldn't move forward or backward. The more he struggled, the tighter the rock seemed to grip him. To make matters worse, the water level in the tube began to rise. Panic set in, not just for Bob, but for the team trying to figure out how to help him. They were several hours deep into the cave system with no easy way to call for help. Eventually, 2 members managed to grab hold of Bob and pull with everything they had. After several attempts and near hypothermia, they succeeded in freeing him.
This? Oh, yeah, it looks tight. Billy, I get it. Pull it! Pull it!
But the ordeal didn't end there. They still had to crawl for hours to escape, much of it through similarly tight, wet passages. Bob never returned to cave exploration after that incident. He reportedly shifted to outdoor hiking and safer hobbies. His experience remains one of the more documented real-life examples of how quickly things can go wrong underground. These stories serve as reminders. Caves are beautiful, mysterious, and dangerous. No matter how experienced you are or how much preparation you do, there's always the risk that something might go wrong. And sometimes, the scariest part isn't what you see. It's what you can't explain. On September 7th, 2024, the Action Adventure Twins YouTube channel posted a new video exploring a mysterious cave discovered on someone's private property. This is the same channel where the 2 brothers had previously become separated in a labyrinthine cave system and nearly lost their lives. After that experience, they approached this cave with much more caution. Still, the danger at the entrance alone could have proved deadly. The property owner dropped them off halfway up a hill and mentioned that no one had ever been down into the cave. He'd once tossed a rope with a rock down the opening, and it dropped over 200 feet before hitting anything.
Here, we're gonna see if our rope reaches. It's still... Oh! You were right, it kept going.
The brothers tested it again, and it went even deeper than they expected. Despite the clear risk, Edward and James secured a rope to a nearby tree and began their descent into the dark shaft. The narrow entrance opened into a massive underground chamber, far larger than it appeared from Bovermoy. But just as they began taking in the scale of the cave, they stumbled onto something alarming. What appeared to be human remains, scattered on the ground just inside. A small grouping of bones, and what looked like a makeshift shrine sat quietly in the shadows. Some of the bones did resemble human remains, and the atmosphere shifted instantly. As they explored further, they found ropes, harnesses, and old caving gear still attached to the walls. Someone had clearly been down there before. If the remains were human, They could have belonged to a past explorer who never made it back out. There were also bones right near the entrance, likely from people or animals who had fallen into the cave by accident. But the bones they found deeper in couldn't have ended up there by falling. That part of the cave was too far from the opening. It raised darker possibilities. Perhaps they were the remains of someone dragged in or left there deliberately. The brothers faced some skepticism after the video was released. Some viewers accused them of faking the scene. But multiple professionals stepped in to confirm the authenticity of what they had found. It was later verified that the bones were indeed human. The twins confirmed they contacted authorities, and it was determined that the remains belonged to a Native American individual estimated to be around 2,000 years old. The person may have fallen into the pit or been placed there intentionally after death. While it ruled out any recent crimes, it also painted a tragic picture. Someone likely trapped inside this enormous cave system, unable to escape. Now shift back to October 28, 2004. David John Shaw, a 50-year-old Australian pilot and technical diver, attempted one of the most extreme dives in human history. His mission was to descend into Bushman's Hole in South Africa, one of the deepest freshwater caves in the world, and recover the body of Dion Dreyer, a 20-year-old diver who had died in the same cave a decade earlier. At that depth, around 270 meters, Dion's body had remained suspended, trapped in the darkness for 10 years. Conditions at that depth make recovery nearly impossible. Previous attempts had failed, and the cave became known for its danger. But David was determined. He had discovered Dion's body during a practice dive weeks earlier, and after speaking with Dion's parents, he committed to bringing him back. The recovery dive took place on January 8, 2005. It was carefully planned, involving support divers, medics, and a system of descent and ascent that accounted for decompression, gas mixtures, and timing. The plan was for David to reach Dion, cut him free, and place him in a body bag, before starting a 12-hour ascent with the help of his close friend Don Shirley and others. But within an hour and a half of the dive starting, there were no signs of movement from David or Don. It was later revealed that Don had gone too deep trying to assist and suffered oxygen toxicity, vomiting underwater, but surviving after being pulled to safety. David didn't make it. When divers eventually recovered his body, they found Dion's remains attached to the recovery line. David had completed the mission, but at the cost of his life. Footage from David's helmet camera provided insight into his final moments. As he tried to secure Dion's body, it unexpectedly lifted from the mud and began floating, causing entanglements and line confusion. David became trapped.
This line is just getting everywhere because this body is floating. It's not stuck. Everything's moving. Right, light gets caught on the line there. Move it out of the way. Still got a nice bright light.
His movements slowed. He lost focus on his gauges and began experiencing nitrogen narcosis, impairing his decision-making and coordination. He tried to cut himself free, but it was too late. He died at the bottom of the cave, next to the body he was trying to retrieve. In the end, both men were brought to the surface. David and Dion, bound together in a moment that became one of the most tragic yet meaningful recoveries in diving history. David kept his promise, even if it cost him everything. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. The world is deeper, darker, and stranger than we often realize, and we're just beginning to scratch the surface. If you want more stories like this, real places, real people, and real danger, subscribe and join us as we keep exploring what lies beneath. Stay curious, stay cautious, and we'll see you in the next descent.